Now, in all of my books, I have written about something called the hormonal hierarchy. And the hormonal hierarchy says if you want to balance your sex hormones, progesterone, estrogen, and testosterone, you need to get yourself insulin sensitive. I am plenty insulin sensitive. I have been fasting and building a fasting lifestyle according to my hormones for almost a decade now. So in my case, I knew I had already handled that. For some of you listening, you're like, yeah, I'm still working on that. How do you know if your insulin system is in balance? The number one number on all of your blood work I want to encourage you to look at is hemoglobin A1C. We want that under 5. If that is around 5, under 5, your insulin system is in fairly good shape. It's not affecting your sex hormones. If it's above 5, the first step for you is build a fasting lifestyle. Now, above the insulin is cortisol. And cortisol, if you're under a constant state of stress over and over and over again, it's going to affect your insulin system. So, full transparency, my stress hit so high at the end of this year, I even struggled to fast. I couldn't go into the longer fast. I started getting more hungry because my cortisol was just on max load. And so this beautiful art of fasting that I love so much became very, very difficult. And that was another sign that I knew cortisol was surging through my system. Another sign of cortisol being too prevalent in my body that I was paying a close attention to is belly weight. So I've talked about this on YouTube a lot. The weight around your belly is extra hormones that your body can't break down, and it's cortisol. So when we look at this hormonal hierarchy, those of you that want to lose that menopausal belly weight, we've got to get you insulin sensitive. You can do that by what I've shared around building a fasting lifestyle. But you also have to have some strategies for cortisol. Cortisol was meant to go in and out of your system. It wasn't meant to be on full force all the time. So when you're in that state where you don't care anymore, where you're reacting to stress all the time, where you are hungry, and you try to muscle your way into your fasting lifestyle, I'm going to tell you it doesn't work well. I've done this before. One of the most popular podcasts we put out, if you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. It was what happens when you're stuck with your weight. And one of the things I address is this cortisol, this need for more rest. So that was another key piece for me was, wow, I have to heed my own advice in this moment. And then above cortisol is oxytocin. And this is where I think, and again, I'm using myself as an example, so you may or may not resonate with this, but I think one of the things that happens to those of us that are high-performing, type A, rushing women is that we have that Rosie the Riveter kind of mentality of, I can do it all. And I can do it by myself. Some of us are martyrs, we're like, I can do it by myself. Just leave me alone, I'm going to do it. And what we forget is that we're only amplifying the cortisol reaction in our body, and we're missing out on oxytocin. When you start to lean into the support and help of others, you are getting oxytocin. When you get oxytocin, you bring down cortisol. When you bring down cortisol, you start to balance insulin. And when you balance insulin, now all of your sex hormones are balanced, or you have a better door into those. So hormones work in this hierarchy. So when I was looking at this place where I was feeling burnt out, and when my therapist asked me, what does that mean to you? I came back to her a week later and I was like, here's what burnout looks like for me. It looks like I'm withdrawing. It looks like I'm reacting very stressful. It looks like my fasting is not doing well for me anymore. It looks like I am gaining weight around my belly, which I don't really like. It looks like I'm struggling to sleep because my body couldn't go into a relaxed state. And so I just pretty much announced, and it was kind of freeing to do it, just to say, I'm here and I'm not going to push through it like I did so many times before. I'm going to take my own advice and I'm going to do a 90-day reset for myself.